So, I live in the United States and I've lived here my entire life. And I live in the Atlanta metro and, born and raised. And I'm in my early 30s. I'm 32 to be exact. And, I grew up in America and, my parents were or are baby boomers. And I kind of grew up with that like Americana, a lot of classic cultural icons of like America in the 60s and 70s. And it's changed a whole lot. I mean, even just in the last 10 years, America's changed. And obviously, it's changed a whole lot, over a long period of time. No place is without change. But I feel like we're seeing the decline of America, of an empire in real time. And I think it's to the point where you can't really argue it anymore. And like that it is in decline. And, there's opportunity for those older generations where there's not the same opportunities anymore. Housing was moderately affordable if you had a decent job. A lot of jobs could be had with limited education back then. And nowadays, what I'm trying to say is a lot of standard basic jobs require advanced level degrees now. And there's just not as much opportunity. It's not as simple as getting a factory job or a random, like, I don't know, like you could be like just a factory worker or something like that and probably get a modest house. And you're starting to see the point where housing is almost like unaffordable for people, especially my generation. And it's more than that, just like a cultural decline. It's everybody hates everybody. And people are so divisive, and the media and the stuff we consume in our country, it's just nobody can get along with each other for the greater good of society. They can't come together for anything. It's just us versus them, this versus that. You're on this side or that side. And it's incredibly frustrating. And with inflation and the job market and housing being even the used car market, jobs and wages stagnating, not keeping up with inflation, it's just not looking good. And I don't see it getting any better in the US. It just feels like, because our own government doesn't do anything against like BlackRock and Vanguard buying, all this real estate up and screwing the common person out of owning a home. I mean, look, I get, that's a way for people to make money, but at a certain point, it's like, it just seems like our own government is like for these corporations more than the people. And, at what point is it too much? But where I'm going with all this is, it there's opportunities in other countries, right? There's places you can live, and it's not utopia. Every place has its trade-offs. The independence and the wide open space that you get in the USA is awesome, right? I mean, that's something that a lot of people in developing countries are not used to, having this wide open space. But the funny part is, there's so many people here, these big homes, communities, wide open spaces, but like a lot of people don't really have a good connection to their neighbors, to their community. And a lot of these poorer countries have a lot better ties to their neighbors and sense of community and being. And I think in turn that makes them happier than we are in a lot of ways. America just feels like a land of consumerism, debt, and keeping up with the Joneses and materialism, quite frankly. And the older I get, I'm just starting to realize that that kind of thing doesn't really make me happy. It's more experiences over things. And I'm not gonna lie, there are things I do like having, like fitness equipment and things like that, but it's a tool. Um, I just realized, buying this Rolex watch or financing this car, it doesn't, the novelty wears off so quick. And if you just constantly seek happiness through material possession like that, it's just going to leave you the void. And you're going to keep filling it and filling it and filling it. And I think, it's like you go to some of these developing countries that are poor on paper, and they don't have a lot, but they value the relationships with people more, the sense of community, the sense of family, etc. And, you know, I've been to some of these places. I've been to Southeast Asia before. I've been to Central America a handful of times. And I've been to East Asia, and that's maybe a little different, East Asia. But, like Southeast Asia, you go to Thailand, you go to, some of these places, and they're more happy with less than we are. And I just think we got it wrong in the West on some level. Like, I feel like we create a lot of our problems and then sell people the solution to those problems. And it's just like a gigantic corporation. It's a big business. And, I don't know. It's just the older I get, I think I just feel like a disconnect. I feel a disconnect from the way I understand the way I see the world and my value system. I just feel a sense of being disconnected from the US and what most people's priorities are. Where, it's like, I just, it's like I don't like material possess, like having a BMW and having a McMansion and having designer clothes for this. And look, I like shoes sometimes. I like, a few nice things. I like clothes that fit good, but I'm not like a designer label person. I don't care. I like, simple pleasures, eating good meals, laughing with a friend, going out to lunch, going on a trip, going hiking, things like that. Working out, walks, coffee, things like that. That the simple things in life really are what make me happy. And I feel like I'm at a point where it's like it's almost got me considering other places, and just, if that would in turn make me happy is relocating. It's gotten to me. It's gotten me thinking. And that's something that I may, depending on how everything pans out here with this election cycle and everything, I just don't see it getting any better no matter who gets elected. I just feel like it's about at full-on collapse level. And I hate to be negative, but I don't feel like it's going to improve. And I'm starting to weigh options with doing other stuff, because it's just not, there's little parts that are fulfilling, but it's, largely it's not. And it's crazy, like, how you can live around so many people and be so disconnected and have so much loneliness. And it's a really strange dynamic. But I think those other countries, while they do have other problems, no place is perfect. I think with the social thing and the value system thing, a lot of them are better off than we are. And no, like I've said this multiple times now, but no place is without fault. Every place has pros and cons. But I don't think the US is what it once was. And I don't think that, people like the land of the free. And it's like the government's all up in your business. The IRS is all up in your business. You got to have a permit and law to do anything. A lot of these other countries, you can make it happen with cold hard cash. Like, there is no, like, you want to start a freaking restaurant, there is no FDA, there is no health inspector. It's, you got the cash, you do the business. And I get some of these protections that we have in the US for a reason, but I almost feel like we've gotten too big for our britches, to where it's such a nanny state because of all these permits for this and a regulation for that and a license for this and something for that, to the point where you can't do anything anymore. It's just there's so much red tape to start a business, to do anything, and it's like it's mind-numbing. But you go to Southeast Asia and you got some capital and you can make something happen with very, very little intervention. So I just think at this point it's like a failing state. I don't see it getting much better, honestly. I just think, I mean, I hope for the best, but I'm just being realistic. I just don't feel like it's going to improve. And that's, I guess, my 2 cents. I don't know where I'm going with this, but it's got me considering all options. I've looked into a lot of like travel expat stuff for a very long while, and I know there's some avenues for that, but I'm just kind of weighing everything and seeing what the future holds. Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do. But anyway, that's just my rant. There's no rhyme or reason here. Later.